Hello, everyone. I made my son a promise to try and help the world. And the thing that I could do to help the world most would be to try and create some peace. And so I wrote a book. I called it A Handbook to Freedom and World Peace. And it's just a book of ideas and solutions to try and help the world. And the biggest problem that I think we're facing right now is war. And this morning I was watching the television. I don't watch television. I don't keep track of anything going on. But somebody else was watching TV, and I happened to pay attention to what was going on, and it was Netanyahu talking about how we are at a world war, and I didn't even know. Nobody informed me. I don't know if they were just doing it for propaganda or what. And that he was mad at us and complaining and being really angry because we're not giving him enough bombs. And he was upset and almost degrading us because we're not giving him enough bombs. And I heard recently, a couple weeks ago, that there was a refugee camp bombed and 200 innocent people died. And those were at the hands of Israel and Netanyahu and the bombs that we funded. And I will not be a part of this. I will not fund your bombs. I will not be a part of dropping bombs on innocent people in any country, anytime. I am never okay with a bomb being dropped on innocent people. I'm a little fired up this morning because it gets me so mad. But I think there's a point to where we, the people in every country, can stand up and say, we will not do this anymore. We are not okay with your actions. You guys have to understand, these leaders are doing this for their own power, and it's them against us. They're using us as pawns. And at what point do we stand up and say, we will not be a part of your insanity, of your genocides, of your crimes against humanity, of your killing people? What point do we stand up and say, we won't do this anymore? What point? I personally have drawn a line in the sand. It seems crazy, but I refuse to pay my federal taxes, and that's at the very least I can do is say, I won't fund you guys to do this stuff anymore. I will not pay you to do this. Netanyahu, no. Get bent, bro. I ain't going to pay nothing. I ain't doing nothing. No. I will not fund these wars in any way. And I'm so upset by the thought of it all. I don't care what side you're on. If you are okay with dropping bombs on innocent people, you're in the wrong. And I'll debate that anyone face to face on camera any day of the week. If you want to debate that dropping bombs on innocent people is wrong, please sit down with me and I will peacefully debate you. I have a forum set up to where when emotions like this, even though we're fiery, and I'm trying myself too to keep myself under control, and I have a forum set up to where we can keep emotions under control, and if we don't, then we lose the debate and we get out. And so it really pushes us inside to keep an open dialect and an open dialogue. But at this point, this is the next level, I guess, that I'm going to. I'm trying to create a way of life locally where we secede from the federal government and say we will not be a part of this individually or as a community, and where we do our own thing and we create peace and we create our own voluntary taxes around. And it's crazy, but you have businesses charge what they want. They put it on the wall, and you decide what business you want to shop with and where their taxes go to help the community. It's all a voluntary system, and plus you can have an itemized deduction and break down what your taxes go to anyway and decide what you want voluntarily on your own. It's just a different way of doing things. But where we locally secede and we step up and say we are not going to be a part of your corruption and insanity anymore, it's two birds of the same feather. I try not to go after the presidents or get too political, but they're both, I'm not for either side. I don't want anything to do with either one. They've both dropped massive bombs on people. Biden and Trump, both of them, have dropped thousands of bombs a year on other people. And I believe, I'm not religious, but I do believe in the principle of do unto others what you want done unto you. I think that's the golden rule, is logically the most sound principle to follow life by. Just simply treat others the way you want to be treated. If you don't want something like that to happen to you, don't do it to other people. So if we're dropping thousands of bombs a year, what would we do if one person dropped one bomb on us? Logically, think what would happen if a bomb was dropped on this country right now. what would happen? And that's where I'm at, is if something like that happened, we would all lose our minds. And so at what point do we realize that when we do it to other countries, they're going to hate us and there's going to be problems? And that's a thing called blowback. And when we bomb people, they're going to hate us, and then it creates more conflict. And violence begets violence, and it's a cycle that will never end unless at some point we stop. So I come all the way back full circle to where my solutions are. I promised my son I would try to fix the world, and fixing world wars and stopping all of our leaders is the most insane problem to ever try and overachieve, or to try and ever achieve. Is just, it seems impossible, and most people think I'm crazy. But like I said, if we can just step away peacefully, we can do that locally. Locally, we can decide our own laws, our own ways, and step away from the federal government and keep our money. And from there, if everybody starts to step away, they'll lose their power. And if we refuse to fight in their wars and refuse to be in their stuff, they will lose their power. So refuse. Do not do it anymore. And so the absolute solution is every person in every country, everywhere, all of us realize that we're all connected, and stop seeing beyond left or right or straight or gay or Christian or Muslim or atheist or any of that. Look beyond it all and realize that the threat is those that are running things, and they're ruining this planet for greed and for money and for their own desires, and they don't care. We're all just pawns, and we have to realize at some point they are the problem, and that we need to step away and figure out a way to step away, and that we're all connected. So put our hands around each other, arms around each other, and say, I love you. I'm going to try and work for the best of humanity, for my future generations, for my kids, for my grandkids, and for all of us, and just try and peacefully figure out a solution. And even if it's somebody we hate, we got to try and create peace. And if you can't get along, here's where it gets crazy. There's always going to be war in this world. Obviously, people are always going to not get along at some point. The problem I have is when innocent people are harmed. Anytime an innocent person is harmed, that is a problem. And when you drop bombs on innocent men, women, and children above all, children have done absolutely nothing wrong. That's a problem. So, if a child is harmed from a bomb, we hold whoever did it accountable, the country and everyone. And in order to not drop bombs on people, if we, the people, all stand up and say we want bombs banned, every single one of us in every single country say we want bombs banned. No more bombs. Obviously, I don't want bombs dropped on me. Do you guys in other countries? Russia, any other, China, any country in the world, do you want bombs dropped on you? I don't think you do. None of us do. So do unto others what you want done unto you. Let's ban every single bomb, every single chemical warfare, every single form of major war that you can't fire. If you can fire something, like a gun or even a hand grenade's a bit much. If you throw a hand grenade, but that's still something that you, an individual, can control and not take out mass amounts of people. And if somebody is harmed, you hold them accountable. This is where it gets a little wild, but you could, on a massive scale for massive wars and stuff like this, there's this place called Snake Island. It's covered in snakes, and it's just an island out in the middle of nowhere. If we could give up that island to create a lot of peace in this world, so be it. So we go and we wipe out all the snakes on the island, and then from there, we have a war zone or a war place, and we could do it on any island, really, but a specifically designed place where no civilians or innocent people can be harmed. And from there, let everybody go at it, as long as people sign contracts. That's what I'm proposing, is that a contract of war is signed from anybody that ever has a problem. So do unto others like you want done unto you. If somebody has a problem with me, I'd like them to come to me and go, hey, I got a problem with you. And then we could go and we could either talk it out, or we could fight it out, or we could do whatever we have to do. If it's serious enough and we think we have to kill each other, then so be it. And from at that point, you have a voluntary system and a voluntary way for people to figure out solutions and to have their wars if they really feel they must go to war, because you're never going to stop somebody from thinking that. And if somebody innocent doesn't sign the contract and isn't a part of it, you're held liable. You can't kill innocent people, and that's the logic behind all of this. And it shouldn't be that hard of a concept to not kill people, kill innocent people, and that's all I'm asking. And people are obviously going to think this is an extreme concept and really hard and all this other stuff, but it's not. It's a very simple concept. I think the idea of killing people is wrong, and that we could easily just figure out a designated place to have our wars, and have people who sign up for the war battle each other and televise it, show it. I mean, I'm sure people would love it, and you could just have wars and battles, and if you want to go, have tanks and planes and do all that stuff. But don't do it to the point to where you hurt innocent people. If any innocent people are harmed, once again, you're held accountable. And you could even do it local in communities, and just find a big valley to where if two people are quarreling, and you set up a contract and you go within the means of the contract. If the contract's ever broken and goes above and beyond, that person is held liable. So if we're fist fighting, and the fist fight is, straight up fist fight until somebody taps or is knocked out, then if anything is brought in beyond that, where somebody pulls out a gun and shoots somebody in the face, well, that is obviously beyond the contract agreements, and that person has now committed a crime. And so you write the specifications, the boundaries of the battle to be done, whether it's a slap battle or even a rap battle or whatever battle you want to do, a knife battle, gun battle, bombs, whatever you want to do, you draw it into this aspect and draw it into the contract and go from there, and keep within the contract. And like I said, if somebody breaks the contract, then they're held accountable for going above and beyond. And obviously, if somebody is something major happens in a fist fight or whatever, there's dangers to that, obviously, but it's not, pulling out a gun or whatever, I mean, if accidents happen, the accidents happen, but that's something that we expect going into this, but logically, most times out of 10, you can watch UFC or any kind of bare knuckle fighting and see that, when you fist fight, and, usually there's just one clear outcome, and life goes on. A lot of times people will shake hands and go on about their way with a new understanding of life, and I think we need to get back to that. We need to fight like men, and not dropping bombs on people is cowardly, and I think that if you just push a button and drop a bomb, that's cowardly, and we need to fight like men, and fight like rational humans, and just stop harming innocent people. So I guess that's my solution. And once again, my ideas seem a bit outlandish to a lot of people, but if you think about them logically, from a logical perspective, they make the most sense, because what we're doing and letting these people have these powers is not making sense. Dropping bombs and pushing us into world wars when they have the ability to nuke the entire planet is not a logical answer. You got two answers: let them keep doing what they're doing and burn up the planet, or try and do something different. So I don't honestly think that my ideas are that crazy at all. I think they logically make the most sense, but we're told by the TV and propaganda all day, every day, what to think and what to feel, and that involves supporting warmongers. Both of them, Trump and Biden, are both warmongers that drop thousands of bombs on people. You can't do that. And so until somebody creates peace, or somebody comes out for peace, personally, I love Ron Paul because he said the same exact thing I'm doing. It's not a new concept. I respect Ron Paul the most for it, because he came out and he said, do unto others what you want done unto you. And I seen him do it at a Republican National Convention and get booed. And I think that for the majority of it, Republicans are Christians. And how could they boo somebody that is such a wonderful guy and is talking about the principle of everything you guys believe? And I don't understand. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. So that's where I'm at, and that's why I've kind of resisted holding I've held my tongue for so long because I'm in a very Republican county, and I'm even running for sheriff as a Republican. And I'm not trying to make everybody mad and make all the Republicans mad. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to divide us, but at the same time, I'm trying to say that we're being led astray, and that all the presidents are puppets. I think that the presidents get in office and they're just nothing but a distraction. It's all a magic show. For all the problems, they're just in there to be scapegoats and to get blamed for everything. And they do the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do. And that's what the whole idea is that when your president gets into office, their plan is to do the exact opposite. That way the people that would normally be freaking out and saying, this is terrible, I'm so mad at this, and trying to make a change, won't, because they voted for that in, and they won't get past their pride. And that's it. I mean, if you look, for the Biden administration, a lot of Republican stuff has been done. For the Republican, when Trump was in office, there was a lot of Democratic stuff getting done. And I know people don't want to acknowledge that, but hear me out, Trump supporters. To start off with, he said that he would take a nation's oil, Syria, and these were his exact words when he was talking about ISIS. He said, I'll take their oil, you know them, Syria or ISIS, I'll take them and I'll bomb the shit out of them. And after I bomb the shit out of them, I'm going to take their oil and I'm going to give it to Exxon. You guys hear Exxon? They do great things. So what he said is that he's going to bypass Congress and the Constitution and do an act of war unconstitutionally on his own account, which he did. He did all these things because he ended up doing it all. And then from there, he said, I'm going to take ISIS's oil and I'm going to give it to Exxon, which if my car is stolen and the police find it, they generally give it back to me. They don't give it to their friends, Exxon. And so that logically doesn't make sense. So you've just taken a nation's oil and given it to Exxon. Well, who's Exxon? You look up and you see historically that the Rockefellers, that's the reason why monopoly laws were put in place, because of Exxon Mobil and their oil monopoly that they've owned forever. And that's the epitome of the swamp. The epitome of the swamp, and how they get their power is oil. And so he took a nation's oil unconstitutionally and gave it to the swamp. So that's the immediate reason why I'm not a fan of Trump, because he campaigned that he would do that, and then he did do that. From there, there's Operation Warp Speed, to where when COVID ended, he had 420 million vaccines already to be dispersed, which is enough for every single American. So when Biden took office, Biden already had all the tools in his lap ready to go, and Trump made that for them and put it there, which is not very freedom-minded and not very, the way they push that on us, I'm not a fan at all. And so that is a major problem. That just goes to show that they're all in cahoots all along. I mean, he had it perfectly for Biden right when he took office. I have 420 million vaccines that Trump went ahead and just pushed and made and created. Oh, it's so great with Operation Warp Speed. It worked out so good. And then from there, everybody's mad about inflation right now. So I want to honestly ask people, anybody who's mad about inflation, do you understand how inflation works? Do you know what creates inflation? Inflation is created by the printing of money. So when you print money, that creates inflation. When COVID hit, Trump printed all that money and gave it to all the people and gave out all those handouts. And from there, all the COVID money, about a third of it went to the people, about 2/3 of it went to the corporations. And all these corporations and big businesses, they all their profits, doubled. All the big business owners, all their stuff doubled because we were forced to live by their ways. It was a takeover of our entire economy. And had anybody done it besides Trump and something that the Republicans voted for, the Republicans would have been flipping tables and just standing up and not having any of it. They would have stood up way before and not had any of that. But since it was Trump, they sat down and let it happen. And I don't think that giving this man the power to do that again is a good idea in any way, shape, or form. He's been shown to betray us, we the people, and he's from New York, and he's in Richmond, north of Richmond. They're all up there, and they're all connected, and I don't think any of them should be leading this country. And I, in fact, think that we should have a president that doesn't show up a single day. I was going to nominate myself for president and go on the premise that I basically can't legally win and that I won't show up a single day. But I've now nominated my dog because he can do the same exact job of not being able to do a single thing in Washington, D.C., which I think is what needs done for 4 years. Let's just put the government on hold and pause it all. It's a crazy concept, but my dog can't drop any bombs on people. He can't say any nuclear codes. He can't pass thousands-page laws created by lobbyists, which, if our system is controlled by money, is no longer run by we the people. So my dog can't be affected by any lobbyist or sign any of their laws into effect, in which case we lose any more freedoms. And then from there, you can't pass a budget. So once a budget isn't passed, all our government entities won't be able to be funded anymore. And I believe fundamentally that taxation is theft, and that when you take from someone involuntarily, that you are stealing their stuff. And so if people aren't voluntarily going, hey, you can have my taxes, or you can have this, then that's theft. And in a true free society, you should be voluntarily able to decide what money you want to go where. And so at this point, instead of robbing us and spending unlimited money on whatever they want and all the silly stuff that we know they're wasting, or all the things that we don't agree with, or all the dumb stuff that our government does, and having unlimited checks and robbing our kids' future and pushing us further in debt, knowing it's going to get handed on to our kids, instead of allowing all this to continue to perpetuate and go on, instead of allowing that to happen, we stand up and we go, hey, we're going to voluntarily give you what we want now. And so from there, we give them what we decide, and they have a budget that they get. So let's say that we give them voluntarily way less. Well, they look at their new budget and they go, well, this is what the people voluntarily decided. This is what we have to go from. And that's their new budget. Cut the belt, live tight. Figure it out just like the rest of us. All of us are struggling. Guess what? It's time for government to struggle too, man. You guys are the ones that are creating this mess. So why are we going to continue to give you unlimited checks? Let's stop all the insanity and put it back in the people's hands and say, you know what? We're voluntarily going to give you these budgets, and you got to figure out how to work from them. And that's on you guys. Figure it out. And from there, we'll have a voluntary society, and it will be something that's a lot more free, a lot more logical, and we can take all that money and invest it in communities. Instead of wasting all of our money and giving it to Washington, do the same thing. Keep going to work. Do everything you're doing. Invest that money right here where you're standing, in your community, right where you're standing right now. Invest that money here. And when you invest that money locally, you're going to look around and you're going to see your local community flourish. If we take 20% of our taxes and give them to the federal government, imagine what we would do if we took 5% of that money and invested it in our local community. Even probably 2% of that money would double everything we have, And so it would dramatically increase our local economies. And if every local economy everywhere did that, we'd look around and we'd see, wait a minute, we just cut all the fat. We just cut the problem out. And so I think and we would create peace in the same time. anyways, that's my idea. I think we need to take 4 years off from government and definitely not have any wars and definitely try and create peace. And like I said, the way to create peace is do contracts, stop all the innocent people from being hurt, and let people war it out on their own according to contract. Like I said, people could do sword battles, fist fights, anything. I mean, you could do 10 on 10 or 100 on 100. It'd be, I mean, I personally would probably even watch it if 100 Japanese soldiers went against 100 Indonesian soldiers or whatever, and had swords and sword battled. I mean, I think that would be pretty intense. And that's their own free will. And I know it sounds crazy to create peace through war, but that's what we're doing right now. I'm just saying that, logically speaking, quit hurting innocent people. So once we can figure out how to do that, I think we're going to create peace in the world, and that's going to be the solution. So above all, quit dropping bombs, and let's work together as a society to all say no more bombs. I think we need to create some kind of something, some way, just a world petition, if you will, to where the whole world petitions to say no more bombs. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm gonna freaking start that. So that's something that I just created right now on the fly, and literally in the middle of this video, I'm going to start trying to do that, and just the no more bombs petition, and everybody sign it in every country. And once we the people stand up and tell our leaders that we are done having your stuff, having your bullshit, and having your bombs dropped on innocent people, I think that's what we need to do. So I'm a little different mentality than most, but I don't think that I don't think that it's wrong. I don't think that I'm a bad guy for wanting to create peace in this world. And just please, I know I'm a little fiery right now, and I'm sorry I'm a little upset, but please just help me create peace in a way to where we can stop having innocent people harmed. And just help me do something. Doing nothing allows it to perpetuate. Those who do nothing in times of injustice choose the side of the oppressor. And so I think the oppressor in this situation is all our governments throughout all history, throughout all time. And I think that our leaders are the ones that are oppressing us, and they're using us as pawns in their games. And I think that we need to stand up and say that we've had enough, and that we won't be pawns, and we won't be hurt, and we won't be killed for your guys' greed and your guys' power. And we have to do that at some point, or things will never change. So I'll be the crazy one to come out there first, and I'm going to be like a rabid dog, and I'm not going to let this go. So I'm going to try and do as much as I can with my sheriff's campaign, because that's what I believe we need to do, and I'm just trying to lead by example, even though I can't win. I think that doing what we can locally is going to be the answer, and having local people stand up and do it. But watching the bigger scene and the wars, even though I'm a one person, I'm going to do what I can to change it. And I'm going to go to the next level, and I'm going to just keep pushing harder and see what happens. I just know I'm doing all I can to create peace, and just keep my promise to my son I made to try and create peace in this world. And ultimately, I think we can do it through freedom, because if we have the freedom to do our own thing and be left alone, that's all any of us want. When we get forced to do something against our will, that's when conflict and war and all this stuff arises. So if we can ultimately be more open to somebody else's perspective or state of mind, and just say, I'm okay with them doing their thing, I don't care, it's just as long as I'm free to do my thing, we'll be all right. And just allow freedom to reign. I think freedom is the answer to peace in this world, and I think that it's going to go hand in hand. So like I said, I just wrote a book of solutions, and it's called A Handbook to Freedom and Peace. And that it's not even I'm not trying to push that or promote that. I'm just trying to get the solutions out there, and I'm asking everybody for help. So if you have any ideas to try and help me, or anything, just do anything you can to try and create peace in this world. And just complaining doesn't fix the situation. You got to provide solutions. And like I said, the solution is the no more bombs campaign or petition, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to do that, and then from there, if we have, like I said, contracts to where no innocent people are harmed, that's a 1-2 punch. Boom, boom. No bombs and contracts to where no innocent people are harmed, and that way, you know, the numbers, everything can be fair, and just go from there. But I love y'all. Try and stay positive. I'm sorry to have to get so fiery, but I appreciate everyone. Yeah, thank you guys, and try and create a little peace in this world. Thank you guys.